The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
I wanted to address the issue of his birth certificate that Sheriff Joe Arpaio out of Arizona said was false, and the new paper that was issued in Maryland about a Social Security number that he was using, and it comes up to another person's name. I'm on my cell. I don't know the name offhand, but it's out there. Any info on that?
Well, you know, I know that there's there's been some litigation on this, and unfortunately none of it has percolated high enough to actually get to where it needs to be in a court of law and get this finally redressed. And the problem has been is the court's definition of standing, whether or not any citizen has standing to bring that. And I think Congress certainly would, and Congress has the ability to do some investigation, but you know, you talked about an inept Congress. You got a couple of things going on. Number one, with regards to Obamacare, Congress, you know, passed 40, or at least the House passed 40 different times to repeal Obamacare, but it gets stuck in the Senate because of Harry Reid. On the other hand, there's things that the House should be doing that they're not doing. They should be proceeding with impeachment proceedings, I believe. They should do other things, I believe, that they ought to. They shouldn't just, they should stare down Obama on some of these budget debates and not constantly give in, and I think that's partly due to the Speaker of the House, John Boehner. So I think there's some ineptness there, but that doesn't give the President the right to go outside the law. Just because one department is not acting the way it should be doesn't mean that the other department or the branch of government has the right to go out and violate the law. But that's the problem that we have with the birth certificates, is that the courts have really not given a full hearing to some of those things because they've not granted most people's standing or the right to sue as individuals. I think Congress certainly would have that capability, at least if nothing else, to conduct hearings. Boehner could do this, and the House could do it, and they've blinked every time that they've come up against Obama with Boehner's leadership. So we need some new leadership in that House. But as it relates to the other, I think you just judge him by his acts. And you know, you can call him all kinds of things, and things that you couldn't even repeat. But the fact is, you know, he is the President of the United States. But on the other hand, you look at his actions. And his actions promote communist, socialist kinds of ideas. His actions are very sympathetic to Islam and very hostile to Christianity. You just go one after another after another. He supported the rise of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, a well-known terrorist organization that's the mother of all terrorist organizations. So you just judge him by his actions, and they're pretty obvious. This president is probably one of the most, well, I wouldn't say probably, he is the most anti-American president who's intent on undermining our Judeo-Christian values and weakening not only us here in the United States, but clearly weakening us abroad. And frankly, he is actually succeeding in weakening us internationally.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.